Welcome to Wild West Garage. My name is Morgan, and that is a package I just received from a company called Bestarc. They're an Asian distributor of welding equipment, and that happens to be a plasma cutter. And so they reached out to me quite a while ago, and they were offering like their most basic kind of level entry machine, and I believe it's a MIG machine, and I've got plenty of good quality welding machines in the shop already, and so I wasn't really interested. And so they reached out to me a few times, and then they had a list of 4 machines I could choose from, and this actually wasn't on the list, and so I just expressed an interest in this one, and they sent it to me. So this machine is it's in the $500-600 range Canadian through Amazon, and the thing that interested me about this was it's a CNC compatible machine, which I don't understand exactly how it works, but it doesn't use a high frequency arc to carry the cutting arc. So it's more electronics friendly, I guess. It doesn't. There's no. It eliminates the possibility of frying computers and motors and drivers. So that's what interested me about it. I do have a plasma table buried back in the storage area of my shop that I haven't really used at all. I got it running over 10 years ago when I was at my old property. So this might give me some incentive to dig that out, and I think it will. Anyways, let's open up the box and have a look what we got. So I'm going to apologize for a couple of reasons. One, I'm a Canadian and we're always saying sorry. And 2, I haven't been posting many videos lately because I haven't really been feeling that great. I've had a really sore back last 3 or 4 weeks, so it's kind of been holding me down a bit. I'm just starting to feel better now, so it's a recurring injury, I guess, or it's just from an old injury. It just flares up once in a while, and this has actually been the worst it's been since the initial injury. So I got kind of freaked out, like thinking that maybe I was gonna be a cripple. But anyways, it's much better now, and I'm able to do some stuff. So anyways, that's the company, Bestarc. If you can see that, that's the great name brand right there. And it looks like this is the top of the box as far as I could tell. See the model number here. I am going to post a link in the description. If you like this product, you can go buy yourself one. It says it cuts up to 16 millimeter, so it's half an inch roughly. And so one thing I'll say is, and for good reason, when somebody sends me an email and I don't know that person, and sometimes even if I know the person, if somebody sends me an email that's got a link in it, I don't click on the link. That's a no-go for me. And so dealing with these guys, they did send me links, and I have yet to click on one of them because I've heard some real horror stories about clicking on links in emails. And so like I said, if I know the person, if I know they're sending it to me, I'll click on the link. If I don't know they're sending it to me, I'll contact them some other way and click on the link. Anyways, this thing's well packaged. And so before I pull the machine out, I'm going to take a look and see what we got in this box here. I would imagine this is the whip and the torch. Yeah, and so some kind of hose. And I've watched another review of this machine, and the guy, he doesn't understand why they send this, but well, I guess I'll have to make a determination of my own. Okay, and here's the ground lead. You know, it's what you'd expect for this in this price range. It's not super heavy duty, but it's okay. It'll work. And we've got some Teflon tape, and looks like some spare consumables for the torch head. Some hose clamps. This is some kind of an adapter cord because this machine will run on 110 or 220. Little instruction manual, little silica desiccant, I think you call that, just to keep the moisture at bay. And here's the torch. The torch actually looks pretty good. Yep. Something. I guess that's a bit of a swivel thing. I mean, it doesn't look. It's got a little guard for the trigger, which I'll probably. Actually, you know what? That is actually, now that I think about it, well, this is a little different. This is different looking than what they showed on their, it's an upgrade, the standoff here. It was just a little wire thing before. So that's interesting. But I'll tell you a little story about triggers. So I developed a bit of a bad habit of when I'm working with a MIG torch or a plasma cutter and I want to reposition the work, I'll take the torch and I'll stick it like kind of between my knees to hold it, and then I can, you know, I've got two hands to work. And one time I did that and I hit the trigger on the plasma cutter and it burned a patch of skin off about this big on the just behind my knee. So that is a nice feature. Now I can safely put this thing between my knees and not get burned. Anyways, I've stopped doing that. It's not a good. That taught me a lesson. This is some kind of a little wrench for. I would assume it's for working on this torch. Not really sure how this would even come apart. Oh yeah, that spins out of there. There we go. I don't know what this little wrench is going to be for, but I'll find that out eventually, I suppose. So there's your consumables. Maybe that's what the wrench is for. Oh yeah, that's what it's for. So you got to spin this out of here, I guess. Should probably read the manual before I break this thing. It does fit on there. Let's see. Yeah, those are threaded, so that's what that's for. Yeah. There we go. So that comes out of there. So I do have a Lincoln plasma cutter, and the consumables on that are a lot, you know, bigger than this. So I don't know what that indicates necessarily, but anyways, that's Okay, now this is, okay. And this standoff thing, I guess you, depending on which way you're dragging it, you just rotate this accordingly. Okay, so we've seen that now. So I'll put this, oh, and here's some leads for hooking up to your plasma table. I guess it's to, you know, trigger the torch on and off. I would assume these screw onto the machine somewhere. I should read this. Maybe I'll take a little break in a minute here and go through that, but I just want to pull the machine out and have a look at it. Yeah, it's very small. So I'm going to go grab my my Lincoln machine just to do a size comparison. So this thing weighs almost, like I'm gonna say that weighs, man, it's so light. I don't even think it weighs 10 pounds. This, on the other hand, is, I can feel this one in my back. So it's about 3 times as heavy as this, or more. And I don't know what kind of technology this has in it compared to this. This is about 20 years old probably. But this is only rated to 1/4 inch. And that's rated to 1/2 inch. So anyway, I'm going to take a little break here and consult the owner's manual, and then we'll come back and try this thing out. I can't imagine it's too complicated to run. It does have an electronic display on it. This is really giving me grief. For setting it up, and this versus this one, it's just got one dial on it, and on off. So I'm gonna have to figure out what all these buttons do and how to set it up for cutting. So anyway, okay, just taking a look at the back of the machine, you can see there's an on-off switch here. There's the ports for the CNC adapters and the air line. And my air hose doesn't connect directly to this fitting, and I didn't feel like trying to unscrew it because I'm not sure how it looks like it probably just screws in, but I don't want to mess around with it. I don't want to break it if that's, you know, right off the rattle here before we even try it out. So I put together this little adapter and just a bunch of fittings. So that goes on there, I think. Yeah, it did. Yeah, so that's not something I would keep on there, just in case it gets bumped when you're not using it or whatever. So now I can hook the air up. So we've got air now. I don't have any of the leads connected yet, but I'm going to go ahead and try and turn this thing on. I'm not sure how. Of course, just talked about that. So there we go, it's powering up. Quite an extensive display. I still don't know what this is for here. And so what's it? It's flashing something. I don't know why that's flashing there. It looks like something to do with the power. Okay, so this PS, I don't know what this is for, actually. I didn't get. So it's set on plate mode. Says 220 volts. Cut air. I don't know what that means. I guess you can just blow air with it, maybe. And then there's a setting for the like for the trigger. So you can set it up so you can just pull the trigger. It can be just like a standard, so that's on, and then you release it, the arc stops. Or you can set it up so you can just pulse the trigger, the arc stays going, and when you want to stop it, you hit it again. So I'm going to leave it on 2T because I just want to run it as a, just a trigger on off. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug all this stuff in to the machine. And I'll turn it on again. So this has an index there. Can only go on one way. There are a bunch of pins. Okay, that's in there. Pick up the ground. The ground in, that's just a standard welder type twist connector. Very light duty. Mind you, compared to the one on Lincoln, it's just a tiny little wire. So this aspect of this machine is more heavy duty than that. So okay, the ground clamp, it's just as good, or like this one got kind of, I don't know what happened to it, melted. Got run over, broken, but it's just as good. I think it's actually better. It's got more clamping force than the old Lincoln one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it on again. Still don't know what this PA-PT stuff is. Let's see if we can figure that out. Okay, here we go. PA. Oh, okay. PA is post time. So the torch keeps blowing air for 3 to 15 seconds after the cut. And PA is pilot arc time. Adjust the duration of the pilot arc. So I don't know. Okay, so PT is pilot arc. So I don't know what the significance of that is. It doesn't give any instruction on how to set that. So I guess that's just stuff I'm going to learn as I go with this machine. So anyways, so pilot arc time, so PT. Wait a minute, let's go back. Yeah, pilot. So right now it's set on the PT, so that's post time. So I'm gonna, what does it go from 3 to 15? I'm gonna set it kind of in the middle. Set it at 8, and then the pilot arc time is also 3 to. I'm gonna set that in the middle too. Set that at 8. And then we got 32 psi air pressure. So for the thickest material, up to 14 millimeter, it says up to 16 millimeter on the box, but they say they want 60 to 70 psi air pressure. So I guess that's all we got there, so I'll have to turn that up. Set it. So I'll turn this up quite high, and then we'll adjust it on the machine. You should have seen an increase there, maybe. Oh yeah, we got 81 psi now. So I'm just gonna, pull the trigger. It's down to 65. So something works. Let's just switch this to just air. Oh yeah, there we go. So that's how you can adjust your air pressure when you have it in air mode. Put it in cut mode. I want to cut plate. I'm going to start out with something thin, so I can reduce the air pressure down to as low as 30 psi, 30 to 50 for thin stuff. So I'm going to set it at 40. So I'm going to try this thing out, see what it does. So this is 18 gauge. I just want to see how nicely it cuts. Oh, it's only set at 15 amps. So I've got to adjust that up higher. This is for amperage, I assume, yeah. So it says it can go up to 50 amps. I think I need about 30 amps for thin stuff. See what the chart says here. So for thickness, well, this is not 5 millimeters. It's just really thin. It says 20 amps. So we'd be safe to put this down to 20 amps for 18 gauge material. Let's see how that goes with 20 amps. I don't know if I'm going to like that guard. Really rich. And it's instant on, whereas my Lincoln, it has a delay to start. This turns on instantly. So yeah, this thing cuts. Wow, it's quite powerful. And so yeah, I just want to let's see here. If I cut this off, I can maybe simulate a mesh. Quite impressive. Okay, let's put it on mesh mode. See what happens. We've got a simulated mesh here. I've got a little fire going down there. Okay, let's try it. Simulated mesh mode here. I don't really see a difference. Try some thicker stuff. Oh, I don't even have the ground. I don't even have the ground connected. This thing cuts without a ground. That's crazy. I forgot to hook the ground up. And it still cuts. My Lincoln will cut for about half a second or a second without the ground clamp hooked up. Let's see how it performs with the ground hooked up. Man, that's interesting. This thing is a lightsaber. Doesn't seem to make any difference. It did clear the cut better. There's some dross in this cut. Wow. No ground clamp required. Huh. I'm like, how is it working without a ground? So this machine has a mesh feature. So by pushing this button, you can cycle between plate and mesh. And when it's on mesh, this little mesh icon comes up here, and it also points to mesh. So I've cut some holes in this plate to kind of simulate mesh. So let's see what happens here. It's a little strange. It seems to shut off at the end of the cut, but then it turns right back on again. So I'm not sure what the deal is. Let's I'll put it back on plate and see if I can make some more mesh here. So I've simulated some more mesh. Cool. I'm going to try, so I've got that PA turned right down as far as it can go. I think that's air actually. I'm going to turn this right down. Turn everything right down. See what difference it makes. I just think it's odd that it turns off. It turns off and then turns right back on again. Let's turn this all the way up now. Turn everything all the way up. I think one's for it's for how long the air blows after you finish your cut. No, it doesn't seem like it's, the mesh setting is kind of interesting. I'm not sure what the mesh setting, I mean, other than the fact that so once it clears the material, it shuts off, but then it turns right back on again. And adjusting those time delay things doesn't seem to affect it at all. It just turns right back on as soon as it clears the material. It shuts off, turns right back on. So it's the arc is coming out of the torch while it's just passing over air. So I don't quite get it. Maybe if it was on a CNC machine, it might react differently. I don't know. But like I said, I'm learning this thing myself. And so maybe after I've used it a bit, I can make another video when I have some knowledge and experience. And it'll be a little more clear to you and me. So anyways, that's it for now. That's all I'm going to do. Okay, let's go for some 1/4" material. So I'll turn the machine up for 1/4". So 1/4" is like 12, I don't know how many millimeters, probably 8 millimeter. That makes sense. And it says we need 30 to 35 to 50 psi of air pressure and 30 amps. Let's see, air pressure, air. That should be okay. Let's try that. Makes a nice clean cut. Show you that. Now this is just freehand, but it's a nice smooth cut. I don't know if you can see that. That's without any guide or anything. So I'm going to try this nice dirty piece of, I think this is actually thicker than that. Oh yeah, that's 1/2 inch. We got to increase the amperage. So for 1/2 inch material, we got to go up to 60 to 70 psi. So if I go up to, let's see here. Set it at 66. And then amperage, we need 50 amps. So this is maxed out. We're maxing out the machine. And because I'm a cheapskate, I don't want that much offset on my rail. I might actually need this piece of steel for something. Let's see what it does. I think this thing could cut thicker material. Well, so far I'm impressed. I had the torch angled a little bit there, so it was cutting it at a bit of an angle, but and maybe I don't think I was traveling too fast, but that's a nice cut. That looks pretty good. Needs a bit of you know, it leaves some dross, but comes off easy. Comes off very easily. I get that with the Lincoln too. Let's do one more cut on this big stuff here. So I'm wondering how long you could get away with cutting this thing without the ground clamp connected. I would suspect it might damage the machine after a while. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I'm just thinking that. It's got a ground for a reason. If it didn't need the ground, they wouldn't have the ground. So I've been cutting without any helmet on, and I don't usually use a like a welding helmet when I'm cutting with plasma, because you can't really see the arc a lot of the time, and it hasn't. I've been doing it for years, and it hasn't. I don't think it's hurt my eyes. It's not quite the same as a welding process, because usually the arc is you can't look directly at the arc when you're cutting. If you're cutting real close to an edge, sometimes you can look directly at the arc, but I'm not saying that's a good idea. You should always have some kind of safety glasses on when you're working with any kind of equipment that makes sparks or throws chips, or whatever, you know the drill. But like usually I can't see the tip right now. It's shaded by the torch handle. But I'm going to put my hood down anyways this time, because it's close to the edge, and I don't want to risk getting flashed. It does do a nice job. So I'm actually going to try and cut some, I got a chunk of 1 inch out there. I'm going to try it. See how it does with it. It's rated to 1/2 inch, but it seems like it's got lots of jam. They do make a machine that is rated to cut 1 inch material. It's about twice the money, I think, of this, or maybe it's, yeah. Well, if you go to the website, you can see. I think it might be in the $800–900 range. Okay, so that's got that clamped. Let's see what happens here. I get used to this guard. Whoa, we'll get a fire. Some of the packing material down on the floor is on fire right now. Well, that's definitely pushing it to the limit for sure. But in a pinch, if you just had to do a small amount of cutting, it will cut it. Look, it was struggling, and you'll see when I show you this what I mean by struggling. A lot of dross, because it just doesn't have the punch to, you know, push the molten material out of the way. So I'll just I'll grab this with something. It's going to be hot. You see all the ash floating around. Yeah, there's a piece of packing paper down there that lit up. Almost lit up my platform here too. Okay, so you'll see here how, and you might have saw it while I was cutting, but you see how the lines are arcing out like this. So it starts here, and it was just going to the outside, and then it just couldn't really quite keep up, and that's why I exited on. I didn't want to keep going, but you can see it was just having a lot of trouble punching through this. So it's rated to 16 millimeters. In the operation manual it only denotes 14 millimeters, but I think you could easily cut 5/8 material with this. So I'm jumping from millimeters to imperial, but so 16 millimeters, that's more than, I'll have to do a conversion. I think 16 is actually close to 5. Yeah, 16 is 5/8. Let's hang on a second here. Yeah, so a 16 millimeter wrench is more or less equivalent to a 5/8 wrench. See? So it is rated to 5/8. So that's pretty impressive, really. For me, that's, you know, it is, there isn't, I don't ever really work with 1/2 inch or 1 inch material. That's pretty uncommon in my shop. I'm doing a lot of automotive, you know, work, and so even 1/2 inch is I don't work with a lot of 1/2 inch material. The thickest stuff I most commonly work with is 1/4 inch. So that would be the thickest material that I'm gonna be cutting with this machine on a regular basis. And so 1/4 inch and thinner, no problem. 1/2 inch, no problem. So you know, if this machine, I'm just going to shut it off. Yeah, so definitely not what I would call an industrial machine, but you know, great for the hobbyist. Even in a professional setting. If you're not doing cutting every day, all day, if you're just occasional use, this, you know, from what I've seen so far on this machine, I'm impressed with it. You know, I would imagine it has a duty cycle. Like, so if you're running at full power, it's only going to cut for so long before it shuts down on you. That's pretty typical of any machine. Like even my Miller 251. If you're welding continuously for you know, I don't know how long at the highest setting, it's gonna shut off eventually because it's gonna overheat. So there are limits to everything, any machine, it's got a limit, right? And so if you're running this thing at the highest setting in a like a all day, every day setting, you're just going to burn it up. And I guess that goes for any machine. If you're running it at the limits of its duty cycle, you're gonna, heat is eventually gonna take its toll on the machine and burn it up. It's just the way it is. I don't know, the limitations of this thing. I have no idea, but for the price of it, like I said, it's between $500 and $600, I believe. You can check that on their website. Compared to this old Lincoln, which I think is probably about 20 years old. When this thing, I didn't buy this thing new, and I actually got this given to me because it had something wrong with it. I had to fix it. But I think this machine was close to $1,500 back in the day. And of course, because of these offshore machines, the price of everything's kind of come down quite a bit. And I'm really impressed that for the price and the size of this machine, what it can do compared to that machine. I've cut thicker than 1/4 inch material with this machine, and that's what it's rated to. I do see that it's got numbers on the side here. It starts at 12, 15, 20, 25. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means it can cut up to 25 millimeters.
Probably amperage.
I don't know, but anything over 1/4 inch with this machine, it struggles. That's just what I know. I don't know what it's actually rated to cut. Maybe there's some information on here that I haven't seen yet, but anyways, we're not really talking about Lincoln. I am doing a bit of a comparison just because this is my experience, right? This is the only plasma cutter I've ever owned, and I believe it's the only plasma cutter that I've ever used. So comparing it to this machine, I'm impressed with the capabilities of this machine. The only thing I didn't really delve into is the mesh. I tried to simulate that, but I don't have any mesh, so I can't show you that. But I'm certain it works just fine. And another thing I just noticed here, they've actually got a little chart on the top that shows you what settings you need, which is very handy. Appreciate that. And another thing I noticed too is it talks about tip sizes. So it shows in the up top here in the 220 volt setting, or when you got it plugged into 220 volts. It says to use a 0.8 or a 0.9 tip size, millimeters, 0.8, 0.9. On the 110 volt chart, it says 0.8 all the way across. So I'm just curious. I wonder if some of these spares they gave, if they're different sizes. I don't see any numbers on them. I don't see any numbers on these tips. So I don't know. Let's get them out of the bag maybe. Oh, there's a number right there, yeah. So it says 0.8. 0.8 on that one. I noticed on the, you see on here, it only shows 0.9 or 1 millimeter. There's no mention of 0.8 tips on this chart. Oh, and it even goes up higher. So I guess this is probably You know, they're showing 3/4 here, 3/4 inch material. So you need a 1.3 to 1.5, but they don't show any 0.8 tips on this chart, which is kind of interesting. Kind of conflicts with the manual. And I'd just like to say thank you to Bestarc for sending this machine to me, because I don't have a huge, that's a 0.8 also. I don't have a huge following on YouTube. So, you know, it was nice of them to send me this. And hopefully somebody will see this and want to buy it. Like I would, if I was, I think if I was looking for, you know, to buy another machine, I would definitely buy one of these, just because it does do a nice job of cutting. It does, it's, and then I've got it plugged into 110 volts right now. And so it's only capable of 35 amps off of 110. I'm going to try and cut a half inch with it on 110 and see what happens. It'll probably be similar to the cut with trying to cut half-inch material with or 1-inch material on the 220 setting. Okay, so the machine, see the machine tapped out there. Hope I didn't blow it up. It didn't sound good. Did trip the breaker. No. Oh, yeah, just tripped the breaker. I've got it on a pretty long cord, so that was a big ask. So it was cutting. I'm just going to see if I can nip this little piece off here so we can see exactly what happened or how it cut. So, asking too much of it, of everything. Not liking it at all. Okay, let's play fair here. We'll do a little cut with 1/4 inch. Make sure we get this grounded. Let's do a little freehand cut. See what's going on there. I guess the cord's just too long, just doesn't like it. So probably if I had a shorter cord, a heavier gauge cord, it would perform. I know it would. Let's go back to some light stuff and see what we get. Let's do a quick cut with this. Okay, powering up again. All good. So whatever's in this machine, well, the circuit breaker's saving it. So I'm going to turn it down to 25 amps for the thin stuff. Probably go. I'm going to turn it on to 20 amps because this is you know, it's just sheet metal. Let's just go down to, so the lowest it'll go is 15 amps. So let's try it on 15. So 110 volts, 15 amps. Let's get some air pressure drop down here too. Drop the air pressure down to, what do they want for thin stuff? 20 to 40, so I'm going to drop it right down to 20. So to lock it in, you push it in. So that locks the setting in. Put it back to cut. So let's see. So if you don't have 100 or 220 volt in your shop, you just got a small air compressor. You're just cutting thin stuff. Let's see what happens here. There we go. That's gonna do for sheet metal work. I got it shut right down to the bare minimum. I'm running it on a long cord, 15 amps, 20 psi of air pressure, and it worked just fine. So, for automotive work, like sheet metal and that, it's very portable. You know, there's dross there, but what do you want? I mean, it's gonna, maybe if I turn the air pressure up a little bit, it would have blown that stuff away. Only on one side, maybe because I might have been angling the torch a little bit. Let's try another cut. I'm trying to go a little faster this time. I had pretty fast travel speed that time. I mean, that's pretty impressive. It cuts pretty quick. If you could just bomb right along with this thing. It's hot on that end. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. The dross is only on one side. Maybe I mean, like I said, I could have been tilting it a bit still, but I think I had it pretty straight up and down, but it works. Cuts beautifully. I'm impressed. I do like machines that have the on-off switch on the front. And I don't really know why it couldn't be on the front, but it seems like most domestic, you know, in my experience, the domestic machines have the on-off switches on the front, like the Lincolns, the Millers. I have a prime weld. The on-off switch is on the back. It's an offshore machine too. Anyway, that's a small inconvenience to have to reach around the back. Yeah, no, it's a great little machine. So I'll have to do some more testing on, you know, down the road. I'm pretty sure that this is gonna be my main machine now. So we'll see how this little guy holds up. So just because it's so light, and compared to this, and I don't have, when I'm working, I don't have a dedicated area that I do work in, like as far as cutting and welding goes in the shop. I might be working on a car in this hoist bay. I might be working on a car over in that bay, or working inside the old shop here at my bench, working outside the front door. And so I have to pick this thing up and carry it around. And because this machine is, 3 or 4 times heavier than this machine, this is going to be my go-to. I'm going to grab it. It's easy to pack around. So I will primarily be using this machine for the foreseeable future. And this is going to be a dust collector until something happens to this and I can't use it. So this is going to get put in a corner somewhere on a shelf. And I'm just going to use this. Every time I need to cut something, this is the machine I'm going to use. So, and then see how it holds up. So I'm just going to keep you updated down the road. If it blows up, I tried to blow it up, I guess, running it off this skinny little cord, and thankfully the circuit breaker kicked out. That's a 20 amp breaker I had it on. So, the breaker did its job to protect the machine. So I'm thankful for that, because I'd feel a little silly if I blew this thing up in the first hour of using it, but I didn't. So I'm going to enjoy it for the foreseeable future. So anyways, thanks for watching. Hope I didn't ramble too much. It is what it is. And so I am looking forward to getting this set up on my my CNC cutting table. It's going to be that is going to be a game changer for me as far as what I do here. I don't know how many times I've made a pattern, or just every time I do any amount of cutting with the plasma, or any kind of cutting, even with the oxy setup, oxyacetylene, I'm always thinking about the plasma table back there in the storage area. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to showing you that down the road here. So anyway, thanks for watching, and see me next time. And thank you, Bestarc, for sending this machine to me. I'm really pleased with it. It's gonna be like I said, an asset to my operation here. Thank you.